When your baby is diagnosed with HIE and a possible subsequent cerebral palsy or CP diagnosis, it's natural to want answers for this. How could something like this have happened? Could anything have been done to prevent this? And why didn't anybody tell me about this sooner? These are questions that I often hear from families, and today I want to talk about one possible cause that isn't explained up front a lot of times, and that is hospital-acquired chorioamnionitis. Now, you may have already heard about chorioamnionitis or chorio, which is a bacterial infection of the amniotic sac. What many don't realize is that chorio can sometimes develop or worsen because of things that happen in the hospital during labor and delivery. And when hospitals miss the signs or delay treatment, that infection can lead to oxygen deprivation, a brain injury, and a long-term diagnosis like HIE or cerebral palsy. So let's take some time and let's talk about how all of this can happen. During labor, the protective membranes surrounding your baby, they can rupture. That's normal and that's natural. But it also creates an open pathway for bacteria to be able to enter. If your labor goes on for too long after the water breaks, or if doctors perform repeated vaginal exams without proper hygiene, the risk of infection, it increases. And this is where hospital protocols, where they come into play and where they can be extremely important. Hospitals are supposed to monitor for signs like an infection and things like a maternal fever or a high fetal heart rate. Those are things that they should respond quickly to by starting antibiotics or even delivering the baby if things escalate. But sometimes these signs are overlooked or action can be delayed. That delay can allow the infection to spread, causing inflammation that interferes with your baby's oxygen supply. If your baby was diagnosed with HIE and the hospital didn't explain why, I encourage you to ask whether chorioamnionitis was something that was considered or confirmed. And this is if you experience a fever during labor, that could have been one of the signs pointing to a possible infection. Other symptoms like elevated heart rate in you or your baby can also suggest that chorio might have been present. Now, it's also important to understand that sometimes these infections can occur despite everyone doing their best. They aren't always the result of someone making a mistake. But there are also situations where infections like chorio are preventable when hospital staff fail to follow protocols, or when they miss clear warning signs, or they delay in treatment. These types of delays can allow for the spread of the infection, leading to serious consequences for your baby, including an oxygen deprivation, HIE diagnosis, or subsequent CP diagnosis. How do you know if you're sure that chorioamnionitis was a factor? Doctors might suspect chorio during labor based on symptoms, but the only way to confirm it is, and with certainty, is through a placental pathology. After delivery of the placenta, the membranes and the umbilical cord, they can be examined under a microscope to look for signs of infection. This is key because those findings can help explain whether chorio may have contributed to your baby's HIE brain injury. Now, what does all of this mean for you and your family? HIE caused by chorio can lead to a variety of challenges, including developmental delays, motor issues, or even a subsequent CP diagnosis. It's a lot to process, but you don't have to make sense of all of it alone. By reviewing your medical records, including placental pathology if one was done, you can start to understand whether the hospital's actions may have played a role in your baby's HIE diagnosis or subsequent CP diagnosis. I've worked with families who have asked themselves the same questions that we're talking about right now, and you may be asking yourself these questions. They wanted to know if something could have been done or more could have been done, or were there more answers that could have been given to them. As a birth injury lawyer, I help families be able to work through these situations and to try to gain insight into what may have happened. Investigating these cases also gives families a path forward. If the hospital's negligence contribute to your baby's injury, holding them accountable can provide resources for therapies and the care that your child might need moving into the future. If all of this, what I'm talking about, if it sounds familiar to your story, don't ignore your instincts. Ask for questions. Take a look at your medical records. And if you need help, reach out. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and if you have any other questions from a medical legal standpoint about your baby's HIE brain injury or subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis, all of these types of things from a medical legal standpoint, do not hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me if you take a look at my profile. You can find out more information about me there, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it for this afternoon's short educational video. Have a great weekend, everybody.